Great. That's us. There's me. There's my face. There's Aaron's face, 2H Media. We are a Shopify partner. We help businesses in both the e-commerce ecosystem and in the service side as well. There are a ton of different services that our agency offers. One of which is education, which is brought to you by Shopify and 2H Media today, which is awesome. If you'd like to connect with either Aaron or I or Sarah on LinkedIn, that's where we kind of hang out. I'll have Sarah drop our LinkedIn contact information into the chat. We're always happy to chat and meet people, and we are pushing for some in-person Shopify events really soon, so that like people can actually start doing things together. And it's awesome. We've been doing this for quite some time now. The ecosystem has changed a lot. So like what is true today might not be true 6 months from now in terms of what is available on the Shopify plans that you're currently on. What we're going to be doing today is most of the information and reports and the data that Shopify collects on your store's behalf is available on the base tier Shopify. So that's the $29.99 a month plans. We are, again, trying to make this as inclusive for as many people as possible. There are things that we'll touch on briefly that are part of the more expensive tiers of Shopify. If you're interested in what those might entail, I'm happy to answer any questions about that. Not trying to sell you higher tier Shopify. Like we don't, if you need it, you need it. If you don't, you don't. Just trying to essentially educate on what is possible. Thank you, Sarah, for putting those things in the chat. Again, if you have any questions about any of those service categories, I'm happy to, all ears. Right on. Yeah, and if you've got a LinkedIn yourself or any kind of social media that you want anyone in the room to follow, Jason, thanks for linking that. Yeah, feel free to drop your own handles in the chat as well. Like we are, again, this is like a super inclusive, transparent environment, so it's not. Feel free to share. Great. What we're actually going to learn today. Should be quite a few things. We're going to go through, I think, 10 reports specific to Shopify. Again, some of them are going to be super on point for your business and others won't be. But we are going to identify what metrics that you should actually care about. So great. There's data. You're going to have it. It's going to be somewhat complicated. What should you actually care about? We're going to learn about some opportunities on like how that you can actually leverage that data for your business and do things with it, which is always really important and fun. Ultimately, we do want to help you build better relationships and understand your customer base in as much detail as possible, which is, again, good. Determine if you should be on a higher tier of Shopify. So great. That's just if you're missing something that would really benefit your business, I just want to kind of open your eyes to what else is available. And again, Q&A. So let's get going. Great. I'm sure everyone here, if you've already been running a Shopify store, you are probably familiar with the analytics tab on the back end of your store. If you are not on Shopify and you're just considering it, I know that there's a mix of people in the room. Shopify collects a bunch of information on your customer, on your store, analytics that are part of the actual core features of Shopify. So you don't need like a third party. This isn't like Google Analytics that you have to load in afterwards. Shopify just naturally collects this stuff and it's available for you. So it can generate a whole bunch of reports for you. The reports are free. You just click generate. You can find the report you want. It'll bring it up. It's fairly straightforward. So it's a great suite of tools that come right out of the box from Shopify. There are going to be some of the reports that we're going to go over, again, are listed there. I'm not one to really read off the slides. We're going to go through marketing and analytics and operations and inventory. There's a whole bunch of things that we're actually going to be going over, and then some. Right on. First one, acquisition. So in no particular order, these are there are no like this one's the most important and this one's least important. They're just a bunch of reports that we can happen. Let's start with the acquisition report. Every business should be essentially understanding where your customers are coming from, and the acquisition report kind of gives transparency into where customers or viewers or potential buyers are coming from. So when you're a store just first starting out, it's really important to understand, oh, are they coming from Google? Are they coming from my Facebook page? Are they coming from Instagram? Is it coming from TikTok? Where are we actually gaining the traffic? And the goal on this is, again, that you're going to hear some common viewpoints from me. Oh, look at that. I recognize some people in chat. You're going to hear some common things from me. If you've never generated one of these reports before, I highly recommend just generating it, seeing what data actually comes out of it. And that's where you're actually going to be able to come up with a benchmark. How much am I actually getting out of channel 1? So Facebook. How many am I getting out of channel 2? Instagram. How many am I getting out of TikTok or Pinterest or my direct, like great people that aren't understand me because I'm handing out business cards, things like that. Very, very important for businesses that are generating sales from multiple channels. So if you are a store that doesn't have a social media presence, like none at all, and you're only doing like things at like a farmer's market, and you don't have like any online sales and it's only like POS stuff, this acquisition report is probably not going to be any value to you because people are just buying in person. They're not able to find you really online. They're not getting a bunch of leads through any online channel. So that's fine. I'd still generate that report, see what it's like. Again, it's part of being an avid in-tune business owner. But ultimately, you're going to try and create a benchmark on where your customers are coming from. And then obviously we want to grow out the channels that are benefiting you the most. Like I said before, we're going to try to identify what plan of Shopify this actually comes or is available to. The acquisition report is on basic Shopify all the way through. So that's the $29.99 a month plan. So if you're on like the basic level of Shopify, you get this report right out of the box. Super, super important, easy to get. Right off the hop, reading the report, sessions over time, refer, location. Some of these things will be more important than others. Obviously, we want to have sessions that are longer in time than others. So if we're getting a bunch of sessions that are only 15 to 30 seconds, you probably need to change up your content strategy. You might need to have more content. People are not really receptive to your imagery. Maybe you don't have very much. But again, if we find that those metrics are too low, we are definitely going to want to change those. Sessions by referrer. Referrer just means where was the potential customer coming from prior to. So again, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Reddit, any of the advertising channels that you potentially could have. There's no right or wrong there. It's just a snapshot of where people are coming from. Location is fairly straightforward. Where geographically are these people coming to you from? I would keep note on anything geographically based, because if people are coming to your website, coming to your business, and they're coming from a location where you do not offer shipping, that's obviously a problem. So if you're getting a fair amount of traffic from people, let's just say in one of the northern provinces or territories, or something down in the States, or maybe in Europe, it's just something to keep an eye on in terms of, hey, should I offer an option to get something there? I can't advocate for just opening up a sales channel, opening up another geographical location just for the heck of it. There should be something substantial that's backing that, but this is where we would start to look, saying, oh, we're starting to pull a bunch of traffic over there. Maybe it's time to investigate a partner relationship, something like that. That report is really, really basic. That one, the acquisition report, is fairly straightforward. Actually, on the analytics dashboard, so maybe I'll take a step back. There's a snapshot view of all of these reports within Shopify. So before there's actually like you generate a report, there's like a dashboard of some of your reporting. Most of that is fairly basic. It's a great overview for a busy business owner. There's tons that is available. Yes, quick question in chat. Will you get a replay? Yes, everyone is going to be getting a full replay of the video and the slides. If you need to duck in, duck out, don't worry about it. But yes, there is going to be a full video that is shared with everyone after this. No problem there. So yes, there is a dashboard in the back end of Shopify. Every store has one. The more data that you can collect and the longer your store has been in business and the more customer traffic you've got, obviously those reports will be more comprehensive than others. But yeah, the snapshot view is really important. Every snapshot view will actually have like a little CTA on it based on your Shopify subscription level. By clicking on one of those little like view the report, you'll actually get into like the full version. And that's kind of what we're talking about in this, is like the full version of the reports. So the first one's fairly basic. Behavior, again, talking about customers, behavior in how they are actually, what they're actually doing on the site. This one's really, really important. Most important for high SKU count stores, higher value items that take a little bit more time to actually sell, where someone is actually maybe evaluating your product against someone else's. So like higher value products, and then stores that have higher SKU count. Right off the hop, those key components, you can read them. The biggest one that I'm looking at, top store searches, probably the biggest one. So if you've got a ton, if you can look at what your potential shoppers are actually typing into your search bar, you might want to reorganize your store to actually have those products a little bit more front and center, because there's will be an iceberg effect of people that choose to look and people that don't choose to look. So people that take an action and don't take an action, and then normally the people that don't take an action are way larger population than the people that do. So based on the searches, you potentially could reorganize the store so that those things have more visibility. Store speed's a big one. We get asked that question a ton, like, oh, my site's slow, how do I actually do this? There's a variety of things affecting site speed, so I don't have any easy answers other than optimizing your images. But potentially the theme itself might not be the fastest thing in the world. I am recommending everyone actually switch over to Store 2.0. So Shopify 2.0 has some awesome features on that. Sessions by device, also very important. So if you've got a younger audience, where are they coming to you from? Are they actually shopping on a desktop? Are they shopping on a mobile device, tablet? I would always look at what your mobile view looks like after you've made any serious changes on the site. So how does my product look on mobile? Is it all cut off and choppy? And do I need to actually do something to actually have it perform better? Is it easy to use? Do my buttons work right? Is the text too complicated? Things like that. Though those behavior reports are very, very important to understand where your customer is spending the most amount of time and what actions you're actually getting out of them. Some of these things, again, it's all available on the basic $29.99 month plan. There are some additional features that come with higher tier plans in terms of behavior. They are important, but not for businesses just getting started. Going into this in a little more detail. So these behavior reports have way more into them than the acquisition reports. The acquisition reports are just like, hey, where people came from. These ones are going to, these reports are going to have way more detail in terms of what they'll actually display for you. Again, I'm not going to read all of these things out to you, but it's something that you should be aware of. So the online store conversion rate over time are the optimizations I'm making over time increasing or bettering my conversion rate, or are they worse? There's obviously some seasonal effects to that. If you're running like big seasonal sales that are actually taking up huge chunks of time, where you've got like a 40% discount, like obviously the conversion rate on a 40% sale is going to be better than when it's not sale time. So you keep those in mind. Store speed, again, the bigger you make your store, the more complicated it is, the more you add to your product pages. If you're running product stories, how many apps you're running over time can affect it. Product recommendations. So Shopify has these like cool, like AI-esque versions of recommending products, either at checkout if you're in a higher tier service plan, or the actual feature in terms of like people also bought. Those can play a fairly large role in terms of upsell. So I would take a look at in terms of what Shopify is actually recommending. Store searches, what we just talked about. Searches with no results. So people are searching for black leather boots and you don't have any black leather boots and you're getting a bunch of searches. It might be time to look at offering black leather boots if you're selling shoes. So again, understanding what people are looking for, if there's any misconceptions, other opportunities in terms of the data that you're actually capturing, super important. Sessions by landing. The search with no results. Very important to understand what keywords your customers are actually typing into your store. You can actually assume that they're typing in those same search terms into a search engine. So if you were to generate more content, you can actually take those search results and say, oh, I'm going to build some more content and I'm going to use those terms so I can actually increase my SERP. So my SERP is SERP. It's the search engine results page. It's like where you rank in terms of Google or Yahoo or Bing. if I'm using the terms that my customers are looking for or already typing in, I am going to increase where I rank. Quick question, how are recommended products shown to customers on base plan? Okay, that's really cool. There are, on the basic plan, you're not going to get anything at the cart level. So in higher tier, so plus, and I think even in advanced, so the advanced is the $299 and plus is 2,000 plus percentage of sale. They get additional cart options. With the base plan, you actually get a block within the Shopify builder that you will actually, Shopify will pre-populate like also bought with or recommended products that like go with yours. It's a feature that Shopify actually controls. So you just actually add that block into your product pages and it will generate essentially a grid of products that are also purchased with. So normally it starts with like, you might also like, you can customize them a little bit, but like normally the AI from Shopify is fairly good in matching. Like if you're selling jeans, it'll populate it with like either other jeans or like matching shoes or belts or something. So it's pre-done. It's there for you. Can you see behaviors based on other reports like sessions by landing page? I don't think you can. So on the base level of Shopify, I think you have some sorting options. So that's a good question, Fiona. Can you see behaviors based on other reports like sessions by landing page? You're going to get information on the landing page, but you can't go like 2 levels deep like that. You're going to need a higher tier for that. So if you wanted to like go to a specific page, then find behavioral data on that specific page, that's going to be a no. You can get that by spending more money, but again, you might not need it. You do get the top tier. So you can look at, based on the page, you can get the behavioralistics of that page as a whole, not as like an individual, if that makes sense. You can see how much time they're spending on that page. You might want to, if you're looking for something like that, you might want to have Google Analytics, Google Search Console, Google Tag Manager running on your website. Those are all free products from Google. You should be able to generate more data from that. And if you're looking for more than that, there are paid, much more expensive SEO tools like SEMrush and what's the other one? I can't remember it off the hop, that you'll get more information. Hotjar is another really important one for heat mapping. So Hotjar, it's just how much do you want to spend in terms of how much data you want to collect? These are good questions, so I'm just going to keep answering them right quick. Is there a way to optimize recommended products based on results, or does Shopify control and manage this? I believe Shopify manages this. You can, what we would recommend, if you're trying to manage it yourself and you're running Store 2.0, I would recommend actually having a product story in your product page. A product story is additional information about the product, like pictures, images beyond the base product details. 2.0, Store 2.0 makes it fairly easy to put these things in place. You can have product stories that are templated. So like if you've got a bunch of like blue jeans, for example, and you've got a bunch of belts because you're selling clothing, that product story can be that same product story on a bunch of different pages. So it does make it fairly easy to actually add additional information, but that's how I would do it. The recommended features, I do believe Shopify controls. There is another block that you can actually have like recommended products that you can set, but you'll need to set that individually per product. So that can kind of be a little bit heavy on the product management side. If I'm saying anything, Aaron, who spends most of his life in Shopify, if I'm saying anything that's wildly inaccurate, I don't think I am. I'll have him chime in, but I think that's, again, the ecosystem changes almost as fast as we can keep up with it. So is it possible to break down sales by variant? Currently able to see my SKU, but want to know what each color. Yes, there is a way to do that. I will get there. There is a way to do that. And that is very important. That is an ABC report. But we are going to get there. It's not in behavior, that's in later on. But yes, great question. So yes, you can see sales by device, sessions by device. Again, if you're getting a huge tick in mobile traffic, but you're actually not getting any sales through mobile, you might want to look at your mobile experience. And then your online store cart analysis, not as relevant for stores on the basic plan because you don't have too much control over the actual cart itself. If you're using any third-party apps like a buy now pay later app like Afterpay or Sezzle or something like that, you can see bumps in your cart based on purchase things available to purchase. Purchase methods, so like if you're enabled, if you have Shop Pay enabled, if you don't, if you've got PayPal, depending on how many payment gateways you have. Obviously, not everyone likes to pay for things the same. Something that you can look at. Cool. There's a lot there in that one. Some of it's really, really straightforward, and some it's like, does it pertain to my business? Yes or no. Customers reports. Okay, this is the first one. I want to really highlight some of these features are only available on Plus and Advanced, which would be $299 and up. Some of them are available on the base, so not the basic plan, it's the Shopify plan, which is $79.99. Like there's like the basic 29, and then there's this one. So there's some things in this that are a little bit different. Really, really important for anyone selling subscriptions, consumable products, things that have an expiry date, things that have a high repeat purchase value or a high repeat purchase frequency. This is where we can really get into how many first-time customers you've got, how many returning customers you've got, loyalty, at risk, all kinds of things that should be taken into consideration when you are planning a promotion, doing any kind of email marketing. If you've got a loyalty program, things that you're trying to engage customers, trying to get more squeeze out of the same, more juice out of the same squeeze, I should say. You'll have to look in terms of what's available to you on your unique plan. Some of these things like at-risk customers and loyal customers, we put a little plus sign there. So you're going to need a higher tier to get here. Really, really important if you are running a subscription-based business to try and keep that churn rate low. Churn rate is just the number of businesses that are opting to leave your subscription rather than stay on it. So very, very important for businesses selling things on a subscription. So, customers by location. So like, again, these are not sessions. These are actual people who are purchased. So we're two separate things between these two previous reports. One of them is just like sessions. These are actual buyers. So completely different sets of data. So we definitely need to keep it in track of where the sessions are coming from, because we should have more sessions than buyers, because not everyone buys. So we do need to keep track of both of these things separately. But the customers report is definitely going to be people that are spending money, not people that are just looking. Cool. Good question in chat. At what point do you think a business ought to start using analytics? Should we start day one, or will it depend on volume and revenue? Okay, that is a great question. I've got an opinion on this. Obviously, day one, you will have no analytics. There will be no customers. Day one, you might have done a grand opening. You might have done a bunch of pre-launch marketing. There's going to be a whole bunch of things that you could have done. But day one, you're going to have the least amount of data possible because you've got no history of collecting information. So I definitely don't. That's a good question again. I'll get there. I definitely don't recommend like sitting in your analytics and generating a bunch of reports so early. Normally, once you get into the swing of things, so like 3 to 6 months in, you understand a little bit. If you have dollars in market, if you're spending money on Facebook, if you're spending money on any of these platforms, I would absolutely be in my analytics. I want to make sure that those dollars are being accounted for. If you're not, and you're just doing a lot of organic stuff, that's a different story. But I would not start day one. I would benchmark monthly. I would generate these reports monthly. Every single report that we talk about today actually has date ranges that you can actually go back in time and you can generate the report. And from June 1st to June 30th, you can go back and historically get it. But I would definitely reference the analytics that you can collect, and those should be informing like, hey, I want to increase the time people spend on my website. How do I do that? If you're selling a high value product or something that's more complex, you want people to stick around. Maybe I need more photography. I want to increase it from 30 seconds to 55 seconds. I'm going to need to give people more information to read. So Normally, I would reference the your analytics when you're trying to do something or to validate an assumption. So that's where I would start, but definitely not day one. And then again, it's different for every business. That's great. At-risk customers. Sarah, I think you can bring up how Shopify defines at-risk customers right in the sales report. I'm going to have Sarah link something in for you. Shopify has a definition. I'll just give you Shopify's definition. I don't have it memorized. Cool. Online store cart analysis report is locked on your plan. Do you need to have? Yes. So there will be some of these things that, again, are not available to you based on your plan. I wouldn't just go jump out and up my plan for a specific report. I would look at what that report actually does. Sarah, it was just the at-risk customers definition from Shopify from the consumer reports. Cool. I wouldn't just go and up my plan just for a report. I would be going to look at what that actual report will do for your business, or do to help you. So I'm going to, the link that I'm going to have Sarah share in a minute here is going to be about this specific report. If you think it's a good idea that you'll gain value out of, I'll have you make that independent decision. If you want us to take a look at it afterwards, I'm happy to do so. But like, definitely don't jump in and just spend more money for the sake of me saying. That's not the purpose of this at all. I just want to tell you what's available, and if it makes sense, then it makes sense. Cool. Good. Which analytics platform do you recommend outside of Shopify? Okay, there are a few. So like, you should be running Google Analytics because it's free. Google Analytics, you can just create an account. You can install a code. It's I think they're at number 4 right now, Google Analytics 4. So like the universal UA tags are gone. They have another product called UA 4, something like that. I can't remember the acronym. That should be collecting data all the time. If you're interested in like heat mapping, which is like where your cursor is coming from, I would recommend a program called Hotjar. Hotjar, they are on tons of different Shopify stores. That is, again, a lot of this stuff is going to cost a ton of money. Most small businesses don't need it. I would have Google Search Console running on the store. That's completely free. That lets you know where your store ranks in terms of, in a Google search, what page and what position and what ranking your store actually has. If you're running any advertising, I would have your Facebook pixel hooked up to generate retargeting audiences, things like that. Most small businesses you can get by with that. If you're selling into like 1 or 2, like North America, if you don't have stuff over in Europe, you don't have stuff in Australia or Asia, I would tone it back. But the cost on generating analytics can get really, really Hotjar is the name of that company. They're big. They're like one of the, you'll see them in the App Store. They're there, big one. We don't have an affiliation with Hotjar, but they do good work. We're not a Hotjar partner or anything. Back onto customer reports. Great questions, everyone. Great questions. Is there an opportunity to check viewing data for blogs written on our website, number of views, when viewed, person viewed? Yeah, absolutely. So most of that data is going to come from, let me see what report is actually going to be on that. One I would go to, if you're looking for specific page data, I'd always reference like Google Analytics in combination with Shopify. So definitely having Google Analytics on your site is going to be really important for that. But yes, page count, page views, all of that stuff. Yeah, there is absolutely the opportunity to do that. I am trying to remember what report that's coming out of. I'm pretty sure it's acquisition. Yeah, sessions by landing page. So the landing page will be probably your blog page. So if you look at the behavior reports, you'll actually see how many like views you have on that specific blog page. That's a really good question in terms of like, hey, can I figure out if this blog is actually doing something for my business? Based on what that blog's topic is, we want the most amount of people to find that content. Mixing Google Search Console, which lets you know where that page ranks in terms of search, and using your Shopify data, which means the people that reach that page, what do they do and how long do they spend there? That can really influence on is this page actually of value? Do I need to rewrite it? Do I need to add more information? We have some blog, we have a blog, and we have a bunch of guides. Like the guides are like instructional step-by-step guides. Those guides that we have on 2H Media pull more views than like 50% of the website as a whole. Those guides are like people search for these terms and follow these guides and stay on that page sometimes for like 15 minutes at a time, which is a long time for a web page. So the more value you can pack into a blog or a guide or any kind of evergreen content, if you've heard that term, evergreen content just means it's going to stay true for a really, really long time. So if you build it, it's going to stay true and people will be able to reference it and be able to use it as far in the future. So it's not a timely, it's not like the sports scores. It's not like it doesn't have to do with the stock market. It's not a time-based, it's not time-based content. Evergreen content just will sit around and be true for a while. The more of that you can build, the better for your business. And then it obviously helps attract organic search. Cool. Customer reports. We're back to customer reports. Again, customers over time. So you're like, yes, heck, how many? Again, these are paying customers. These are not views. These are sales completed. Customers over time, first versus returning. Customers by location. Again, if you're noticing like, wow, why am I really selling a ton in Quebec or in Texas or whatever? It's like, what's going on down there that maybe I don't understand. Maybe I'm doing something down there. Maybe I've got a partner or someone that's a really big advocate for my business in one of these cities that are just really like, it happens. It's just weird. Returning customers, obviously really important. We do need, we can't fight for every new customer. We do want some amount of returning. One time, so like, can we prompt them with another, like for one-time customers that haven't made another purchase, can we go out and reach them and give them a nudge and give them a 10% on for another purchase? What can I go and get them to get back into this? Did they not like the product? How can I collect any information from them? At risk, that was in the link that Sarah that linked above. They have a specific definition for at risk. And again, it's going to be more for, again, that I think that at risk report is going to be in a higher tier of Shopify. And I think it's going to be more related to subscription based businesses. Loyal customers. Again, they will have a definition on that page that Sarah linked. So they've got their like own very clear definitions. And then you can customize these reports. So this would be the first one where you can actually customize. Great, they give you a sample. It's going to have a whole bunch of filters and fields that you can change and make unique for your business. So like by no means does it need to like come out of the box and like, this is what I get. This is a really, really important one. Just reading another question. That's a great question. I use tags for a fair bit to track information about orders and sales. Is there a way to filter this information in a report to easily understand sales resulted by one or more tags? So are you using tags just to create your collections? So you're like tagging your products and then you are creating your collections based on those tags? I need a little bit more information on that question. But essentially what you can do is not by tag, but you can filter sales by collection. So tags are a very limiting tool in Shopify. They are tagging actual orders with source. Oh, so you're collecting an order over the phone and then tagging it as such, or like you're manually accepting the order and then putting that order into Shopify and creating a manual order and then fulfilling it? Is that what you're talking about? It's a good question. It's like, how does a manual order make it into a report? I have an answer for that. Because a lot of it will be, we might want to talk offline about that one, Jan. Let's go over that one offline. That one's kind of unique. That one's kind of unique. Okay, finance reports. This is absolutely free with every plan. Every business should be generating them. Obviously, the main purpose of these is for accountability, cash flow, expenses, liabilities, all kinds of things here. You'll probably need to be generating these for your bookkeeper, accountant, tax planning, all of that. The big thing that your finance reports are actually going to do is the liabilities. The big one is figuring out the liabilities report, which just shows how many gift cards, things like that are out that are technically a liability where you're going to need to, you've collected the customer's money, but you haven't actually delivered any goods or services yet. So tips and gift cards, that's the big one for there. So if you do have if you are offering gift cards, tips, things like that, any of your liabilities, that's one of the biggest things your finance report's going to track in terms of goods owing. Everything else on the finance reports normally makes sense. It's a financial report. It's sales, expenses. If you've filled this data into your Shopify store, if you're looking for any of your like payments, things like that, it'll be there in there as well. If I go back, taxes, gross, like again, this one's super basic. Every business is going to need to spend a little bit of time into this one. This one is not going to really make or break your store. You're not going to learn too much about your customer in this. It's not like you're going to be able to leverage a whole bunch of information to make more sales. This one's purely operational for obvious reasons, to pay taxes, which we all love doing. But yeah, the big one there is tips and gift cards, making sure your liabilities don't get out of whack, especially with like inflation and things like that. It's making sure that you're, accountable to what is going out of your business. Cool. That one's fairly straightforward, but again, look at it. Make sure that, you should be having these conversations with whoever is supporting you with your financial services, making sure that they get the information they need. You can customize that report too, so that it can like send, and you can really just outsource that whole bit of work to an accountant or bookkeeper, saying, here's the report, and they can fill all the details. And if they need to do whatever in whatever accounting software is being used, that's going to be the go-to. Okay, your inventory reports. Inventory reports, super critical to some businesses. Obviously, if you're selling a digital product and that's all you sell, and you never cover inventory, not so important. Very similar for drop shippers too. If you're never tackling inventory, you've never have inventory, you don't have multiple locations, there's not going to be a whole lot of information here. For people that do carry physical products and potentially at multiple locations, very important. Very important. Again, you can see what is available here. The biggest one I like is that ABC report, and that is just, if you've never run one, it's only available on, I think it's only available on the $79 a month plan, like the actual Shopify plan or advanced. It lets you know, ABC it categorizes your products into 3 categories, A, B, and C. A is these products account for 80% of my sales. B accounts for 15% of my sales, and C, it accounts for 5% of my sales. So I recommend looking at that one for sure. I'm always wanting to drop off the products that are not selling or figure out why they are not selling. So that report is fairly straightforward to run and use and go, these products I've got on my site, it takes time to manage, it takes time to upkeep. If they're not actually beneficial to my business, not generating any revenue, you really have to ask yourself, why are they here? Or maybe you're just not doing a good job of promoting them. Or maybe you've never told anybody that you've added a bunch of new products and it has no visibility. And maybe there was something missed and you didn't put it into a menu, or you never uploaded any images. Like there's lots of things that could go wrong there. But that one's fairly straightforward to run, the ABC. For anyone else, again, running a retail store, the rest of these reports are going to be fairly common sense to you, like month-end inventory value for accounting, for reporting, month-end inventory snapshot. What have you got? What are you going to have to order? What lead times do you need to actually put in for all of your other providers? Is there an alternative to the ABC analysis by product report for those on basic? Unfortunately, no. Unfortunately, no. You can run something out of a PO, like if you're using Shopify POS, it kind of gives you a little bit, but there is nothing as good as that report, unfortunately. Sadly, I wish there was. There's not. I have gone down this rabbit hole trying to find a report specifically for this, and I was unsuccessful at doing that. If you find something, please email me, because I will be really thankful that you found something that I didn't know about. But to my knowledge, there is not. But again, Shopify changes fairly frequently, and I mean, it's a good one. Most of this stuff is like obviously really important for businesses that have multiple locations. So like inventory transfers, what's at location B, what's at location A, all kinds of things, how many days of inventory you have left. If you're doing any kind of manufacturing within your business, obviously very important. For anyone who is here that is familiar with Shopify's inventory app, Stocky, very, very important to be looking at this inventory report if you're using Stocky as your inventory management system in your business. If you didn't know about Stocky and you are looking for an inventory management system, Shopify has one. You can just download it. It's called Stocky with a Y, Stocky. It's pretty cool. I'm not going to say it's like a full featured app like Bright Pearl or like any of the paid inventory management apps. It's pretty good though. It's like for a small business, that's pretty good. There is a big difference between Advanced and Plus. Plus is like everything on steroids. Advanced is kind of a sweet spot between, hey, I don't have, so Plus is going to be a tool you're going to want is if you've got like 15 different variants on like a language. I need this product and it needs to be accessible in like this language and it's in this specific country. So most small businesses don't need Plus at all. As soon as you have language, currency, more than 15 locations, more than 25 staff on POS, things like that, Plus is going to be your best friend. If you don't, again, there's some other ramifications of Plus because it gets quite expensive, and I mean, it's a product. There's pros and cons to it, but there is a difference. Most of what you're going to get is going to be out of Advanced. And again, not advocating for it. If you need it, you need it. If you don't, I would validate you need it before you buy it, just like anything else. Cool. We're going to go into these ones in a little bit. Yeah, and it's super expensive. Like Plus is like $2,000 price tag US plus percentage of sale. Like it is expensive. You do get quite a. It's built for big business. It's built for bigger businesses. That's what it is. It's just built for bigger businesses. That's more locations, language, currency. Further into the inventory reports, great. Just a snapshot and a little definition of all of the things that you can actually run out of these things. Again, the ABC is there. Percentage inventory sold is really important. So obviously if you're trying to clear inventory, so like, great, this is like the year-end sale, or I've got to sell this stuff before the summer ends, or if I'm doing something back to school or Black Friday, you definitely want to take a look at that percentage of inventory sold. You should obviously benchmark your stuff based on prior years. Seasonal versus not seasonal, like what do I have in stock? Very, very important to actually understand. I wouldn't run a sale before I checking I've got the inventory to support the sale. And sometimes that seems really, really basic. We've seen all kinds of things where, yeah, we're going to go do something and it's like you can't even fulfill the orders. Fairly straightforward. Again, some quick definitions on what these reports will actually do. Days inventory remaining. Again, this was a huge problem earlier in the pandemic when the supply chain issue was like really, really dire. Like if you don't have any sales or if you don't have anything to sell, obviously you're in trouble. You might have to make some concessions, might have to do something, raise your prices, anything to stay in business. But yeah, very important to just start understanding what you've actually got in stock. If you're a small business and it's like a 1 or 2 person show and you've got all your inventory kind of in your garage and you're just kind of managing in the back end of Shopify, and it's great when I have a sale, it comes out, and when I make something, it comes in. I really wouldn't worry about your inventory reports too much. It's kind of when things get bigger where it's like, I don't know how much is on the shelf. If I don't know how much is on the shelf, I don't want to go to my warehouse or my garage or my second location. This is what you should be referencing. Cool. Marketing reports. It seems kind of straightforward. Again, only really important if you're running paid advertising. Paid advertising are very, very active on a variety of social media channels. Obviously, you're going to try and figure out where your money's going and how your money is coming back into the business. If you are thinking about advertising, I would look at these reports. Most of them are going to be blank because you'll have no paid channels. These benchmarks to create are very, very important when you're first starting out, saying like, great, hold the advertiser, hold that third party, whoever you're working with, accountable, saying, okay, what are we expecting? How many sessions, how many, whatever. There's going to be things that marketing agency is going to be able to promise you, like your money's going to be spent here, targeting this audience, whatever. Obviously, they can't promise you like $1 zillion in sales and we're going to sell out everything. That there's just promises that they can't make, but collecting data over time should allow them to improve and lower the cost of acquisition. And again, it's really hard to improve something when you're not measuring it in the first place. So yeah, sessions included, attributed to marketing. Everything's going to be attributed to marketing in this case. Like, where's the dollars going? How are they coming back? Cool. There's a lot of reports in here. There's a lot of reports in here because obviously this is a very important, essentially sales channel. There's a lot here. I won't read it out. There's a fantastic report. If you're not familiar with UTM tagging, it's just like a unique identifier. If I'm running multiple campaigns on Google or on Facebook, I can give every campaign or every ad set or every bit of creative a specific value. So that way, when a person clicks or follows or does something, it comes back to the business, I can actually see what campaign is performing the best. And there's a really nice report in here, which is this sessions attributed to marketing or sales attributed to marketing, where you can actually see what campaigns are actually doing the most work. Obviously, one campaign is going to be the best and one campaign is going to be the worst, just by hierarchical nature of how things are going to be. They both could be, all of them could be performing well, but one of them would be at best, one of them would be the worst. And it's just, again, where's the dollars going? How are they coming back? There's another one, last interaction, like did they, really, really important. So last interaction is like, what's the last thing the customer did before making the purchase? So if I can look at what they did last before they made the purchase, I might be able to go back into my user journey and I might be able to save a couple of clicks. I might be able to remove something. I might be able to shorten that time frame. I might be able to do something to better affect the customers actually buying something. So if I know their last move, I might be able to figure out, hey, how do I get into that last move faster? Attribution model is a very complicated topic, which is first click, last click. Normally advertising campaigns will have a variety of touch points with the customer before they make a purchase. So do I want to attribute the first click to the sale, the last click to the sale, a rounded average, a 30-day, a 60-day, a 90-day, like there's all different types of attribution models. Your advertiser, whoever you're working with, should be able to go through these things with you and kind of tell you like, this is the model that we're using. This is why we're using it. They'll make a lot more sense of it. If you're a small business and you've got like a $500 budget on Facebook a month, I really wouldn't be worrying about it because there's just not enough there to actually get into. But if you get into any larger campaigns, so like if you're going to try and go and spend, let's just say $20,000 before Black Friday and you're sort of a huge lead up to it and you're trying to push, that's where it's like, okay, great. What are we trying to do? But if it's a year-long $500 a month campaign, there's things here that are overkill. Yes, very important. So the marketing reports are found under marketing. That's a great point, Fiona. They're found in a couple of places. The marketing reports are a little bit different. The marketing reports are found in a couple of places. One of them will be under the marketing tab. So like on the tabs on the left-hand side of the back end of Shopify, one will be under marketing. If you go to the full reports tab as well under analytics, if you go into your dashboard view, that you can access them from some buttons on that as well. What's the default attribution model with the report? It will indicate, it'll say on it. Normally you'll have to have it set. Again, if you're not running advertising, this will be blank. So the attribution model comparison will be probably blank if you're not running paid ads, if you don't have any UTM stuff set up. So it's a good question. What's the default? Hard for me to say, but normally these things will only populate if your actual campaigns, your advertising campaigns are set up properly. And it's all going to be based on the UTM source. It sounds complicated. It's not complicated. It's just, if you're familiar with advertising, your UTM tag is just a name. This is I'm advertising my green sneakers and my UTM tag will be like green sneakers Facebook or something like that. So I can look at my giant charts, and I'm advertising green sneakers on Facebook, and I'm advertising green sneakers on Instagram, and I'm advertising green sneakers on Google and Pinterest and Reddit. And I just want to know where the value is coming from. So great. I know that my green sneakers, I'm generating a ton of green sneaker sales on Facebook, and I'm not generating any green sneaker sales on Reddit, even though I'm spending the same amount. If that's not set up properly, it's really hard to factor in like, great, the attribution model is going to go out the window. Right. Order reports. If you're not shipping a physical item, so if it's just a digital product, order reports are going to mean nothing because there is no shipping, there's no refund, there's no, they've got the digital product, that's it. So if you've got a physical product that requires shipping and fulfillment and all of the things, obviously the order reports are going to make more sense to you. You're going to need it on the $79 a month plan, the actual Shopify plan. It's pretty much what it sounds like. It's like managing returns and what percent of product is being returned and how much product is actually being fulfilled in times and things like that. Again, if you're a smaller business and you're not processing a ton of orders, I wouldn't really care. If you're dealing with a giant return problem where like 1 in 3 products is being returned, I would look into this and figure out a little bit more about why my products are being returned, or why my products are always late for delivery, things like that. But again, not normally necessary for small business. I did wanted to highlight it again, because people grow, and it is something you might need access to. Again, there it is. You can read the screen. Product orders and returns, obviously a big one. What's my win rate? Do I need to actually try and reduce my returns? How do I do that? Do I have a YouTube channel that has the assembly instructions and I'm just including a QR code in the box to let people know, like, here's some easy steps to set it up? Or is there something that I can provide more information on and set the expectations with the customer so I don't have to deal with the return? Or do I have to have a sizing chart or a sizing guide or a video or a picture to lay out how this clothing is going to fit? Obviously, no one wants to deal with a ton of return orders. So if it becomes a problem, we'd be looking at this report and saying, okay, great. Can we get this return rate down from 12% down to 5%? What is that actual benefit for the business? Fulfillment over time. Obviously, if you're working with a third-party carrier and you're not just doing like curbside pickup or local delivery, very important to understand the number, the time when things are actually going out the door so that you can keep an eye on it. Is there a way to see a report comparison of the shipping, how much the customer paid versus how much the label cost? That is a great question, Jen. I don't think so. Comparing shipping costs on an individual level, so shipping costs for the customer versus how much you're bringing in on charging for shipping, that is a great question. I don't think so. If that was the case, it would be under the finances tab in terms of your revenue in from shipping and the expense out for the labels. You would see that, but not on an individual level, I don't think. That's an interesting one. That's a good one. Right on. There is not a report for that, and I wish there was. Yeah, there's not. I wish there was too, to figure out if you're actually recapturing all of your shipping charges. I noted. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, Jen, I don't have a great option for you there. That's where I was going to think about it as well, but I don't think it's going to match up perfectly. It depends on the shipping model you're running too. Like obviously free shipping, there's not going to be any of that. If you're using flat rate, it's going to be really easy because you're going to have expenses versus how many orders times that flat rate value, and you're going to be able to figure that out really quickly. As soon as you're into custom shipping based on the carrier, like a live shipping quote, it's going to be way too complicated to try and figure that out. Yeah, you might. That's a great. So that's a great one. Reconcile with your UPS account payment. Yeah, that's probably what you'll have to do. Whoever your shipping provider is, figure out how much you're paying them versus how much you're collecting, and then what you're collecting will just be on that finance or revenue report. Not great. Not great. Shopify normally doesn't. I'll walk that back. I don't know why they don't have that report. That seems like a fairly useful report that they don't have. I don't even know if that's available on Plus, to be honest with you, but that's a very good question. Profit, again, available for all businesses can use this. If you're filling in your details in terms of what your product costs are, the cost of goods sold versus product MSRP, really, really important for you to figure out what products you should be selling over others. So like obviously some products are going to have a higher margin than others. The big one there too on this report is discounts and refunds. So how much of my margin did I lose to discounts and refunds? I would really, really be looking at that one all the time. The other one is profit by POS location. So if you do have a bunch of point of sale locations or just a bunch of them in the same in your store, you could have one store and you could have a 2 or 3 POS. You could have a sales rep walking around with a tablet. And you've got something fixed at the counter. I think Lululemon does this actually, where you'll actually have the physical POS terminals at the checkout counter, and they'll actually have sales reps that will actually come to you in line saying, I can check you out right here in line. And comparing those two terminals will be really important because you're going to have some sales reps that are doing a great job actually pushing orders through and actually clearing store traffic. And you're going to have obviously sales staff that aren't as high performing as others. I would definitely look at that. Definitely look at by POS location. And again, it doesn't need to be 2 separate physical locations. They're just by POS terminal. So if you haven't been into a Lululemon lately, you should go. They are doing great work in the retail space. I can't say for all stores, but the ones that I visited, they're slick. They're doing a good job. They know what's up. Again, some brief definitions on individual reports. I kind of went over it. The discount one is going to be really, really important for you to look at because that's obviously you're just bleeding margin. Maybe you're in a discount heavy industry where it's just expected. Something to look at. If your discounts are like free shipping and things like that, you're gonna just take a look at it, keep an eye on it. That's not a number we want to grow. That's a number that we want to shrink. So if we can just look at how much discount products going out the door, obviously that is going to affect your brand. Like if your brand just is now known as, hey, that's a discount brand because every single time we buy something, I'm not buying something unless it goes on sale. Not as great as it could be. So keep an eye on that one. Other than that, profit by SKU, so variant SKU, I think we're going to come back to that. We came back to that question. By variant SKU, it's right there. I think there was a question further up the chat in terms of by product and variant SKU. That's the one you're looking for. Profit by product variant SKU. There it is. I can't remember who asked that question, but someone did. There it is. It's under the profit report. Retail. This is going to be like that POS location report, but on steroids again. Not if you're not using Shopify POS, not important. If you have multiple POS locations, the multiple brick and mortars, or you just have multiple POS locations at the same time, very important. So like multiple farmers markets, multiple things that you've got staff at one and at the other, really, really important to have. This is quite literally like every other report we've been through based on location. So I can kind of skip some of this, but again, really only who help with the sale. So like if you're doing any kind of commission sales by register or at register daily, location. So again, location A versus location B, vendor type, variant SKU. There's a ton of reporting in the POS side. Shopify POS has come a long way since I'm going to say the last 3 years. It was pretty primitive 3 years ago. It's fairly good now. It's still missing some things, but it's a fairly decent tool for I want to say like small to medium sized businesses. It's fairly affordable. It's slick. It works on like if you've seen it, you've seen it. If you've got questions about POS and you're thinking about having a POS terminal, I'm happy to answer them. It's like running a digital store, but you're checking out in person. It's a very, very cool system. Like I said, product variant SKU, vendor, product type, you can generate pretty much all of the reports that you would be generating through an online store, but per terminal, which is awesome. This would be another one where it's like if I'm generating tips. So I'm pretty sure Five Guys uses Shopify POS. I think the Five Guys in Canada does, the last time I checked. And they're a business that started collecting tips during COVID because a lot of their stuff was going delivery. So obviously that would be really important to know. And then like order times, how fast are we processing orders during busy times? How many, like it's going to have a transaction time based on every order, things like that. Keeping employees and sales staff accountable. Okay, sales report. So this is going to be the same thing as the POS side, but the actual website side now. This is every business should be looking at your sales reports, where people are coming from. There's the sales by product SKU again, variant SKU. I'll get right into this. There's a ton here. There's a ton on these reports. Obviously, you should figure out what you're selling the most of, what you're selling the least of. You should marry this up with an ABC report and figure out what product categories are doing the best and what aren't. Again, obviously, there's some seasonal stuff. If you're selling winter products and summer products, they're probably not selling as much in their off season as they do in their busy season. So like, again, just because it's not selling doesn't mean there's an actual product. It might just be a timing issue. Sales by discount, again, big one by discount. By billing location, that's another big one too. So like the billing address, if you're trying to figure out where people are buying from, sales by billing address is really important. So wow, why are they all buying in that specific postal code? Does that correspond to my advertising? Why is that happening? Maybe I need to go reach out to someone there and further develop that relationship. Sales by customer name. This one's less important, but it can be. So like if you're trying to reference like who are your best customers and you wanted to send them something in the mail or something like that, you can go get you'll have their address for shipping. If you want to send them a thank you card, you could do that. But yeah, by customer name, so you can really see who your most avid customers are. So there's lots of like marketing things that you can do with this report. And again, it really depends on what you're trying to do. Can I get more value out of that customer? Do I want to show some appreciation? If I was going to start a loyalty program, should I give like my top 10% of customers something nice, a gift, something like that? We send Christmas cards every year. Like, I mean, we're a B2B business, but I'll send a Christmas card to anyone that, again, that's just nice getting a Christmas card. You can think about all kinds of marketing opportunities for that, based on sales, based on how much money they spend with you. Okay. I know that we've talked about a ton of things, but what you can actually do with this, and again, it's specific for product. You should identify the weak points. You're going to want to generate some benchmarks. If you've never run these reports, look at them, generate a baseline, and look at that data and go, this is where I'm weak. This is where the business can grow, and then set a goal. So pin down those problem areas or try to determine why that's happening. Why is the data, why is it so low? Why is my return rate so high? Why am I not getting customers in that specific location? Why is this location really, really good? Why am I getting more out of Toronto than I'm getting out of London? And then again, setting some goals for improving in those areas. So do I need to go and capture some more photography that's geographically based in those areas? Do I need to actually go and run something specific, a targeted advertising campaign for that location only? What is an emerging market? What's a market that's in decline? You should be able to find out those things from this. And then based on your unique products that you're selling, based on unique price points, based on your business and the value that your business is bringing to the table, setting that benchmark and then creating some goals is going to be a great starting point. So right off the hop, if you're posting every single day on Instagram and you're not generating any sales, you might want to not waste your time anymore, or you might want to rethink your posting strategy, or you might want to get some help and a third-party review on why am I putting time into this and not getting value out of it. So once you can start measuring things, you can start improving them. Once you can start improving them, you should be able to save time and energy, and your business will grow. So right on. We are at the end. I'm happy to answer questions. Happy to answer any questions. Like I said, the full video, the full recording of the presentation and the slides will be available in a few days. You'll be getting notified by email. It's just going to get sent to you. It'll be sweet.